Yeah. Promote the Fear End episode. You and BadEmpanada duked it out on his community post a little before you went live. I don't think it was a duking it out. I think it's just a difference of agreement, which is fine. We can have a difference in opinion. Chatters, it's normal and healthy to have disagreements with people who you align with on so many things. I think it's healthy. Where is it? Link me the BadEmpanada take. Where was it? Because I saw it. His community post showed up. BadEmpanada's community post showed up on my timeline, and he's so fucking stupid. Look at this guy. I really respect the work he puts in for all of his videos. So I'm not gonna, I'm ribbing when I make fun of him for saying stuff like this, but I will fucking puke if I see a soundpiker say, I invite Israelis onto my broadcast all the time, or tell us how we need to empathize with and humanize Israelis who are victims of propaganda themselves again. Jewish exceptionalist, liberal, Zionist drivel. Validating the idea that we need approval from tokens among the enemy to oppose them just because they're Jewish, and painting Zionists as being misled victims rather than the reality when they're enthusiastically and willingly pursuing their own interests for material gain at the cost of Palestinians. Sickening. P.S. Make excuses for this, permabanned on site. To which I responded with, the struggle is multifaceted. Internal pressure plays a role. I will not back away from contextualizing the role militant resistance plays in emancipation, but I also won't immediately discard those who have disagreements with me on that, especially when I've relied on their investigative reporting. I've used Yuval's work at +972 in the past. It's important not to take honest reporting in the bodies that Israeli Jewish allies put forth to protect Palestinians for granted, even if we have disagreements. He apparently replied to me, no, it's not important at all to even mention or notice that someone is Israeli or Jewish in the context of Israel colonialism in the name of Jewish ethnic supremacy. If you wouldn't do it for the Nazis, you shouldn't be doing it here. If your critique... No, I don't think he understands. I guess we're talking past one another, because that's not the point I was making at all. What the hell? The way I see it is like this, okay? I live in a settler colonial enterprise that is also known as the United States of America. I'm an American citizen. I take advantage of the bounty of this settler colonial enterprise and the untold amount of pain that it cost, the untold amount of pain that it dished out upon the indigenous population here, and even chattel slavery. I also understand that this settler colonial enterprise, the United States of America, churns out a metric ton of propaganda to make people understand or make people feel like that is normal. That kind of violence is necessary. Okay? So if I am trying to actively talk to people in the United States of America, then I'm obviously going to explain to them that this is just programming so I can engage in deprogramming, right? And that is the exact same way. That is the exact same way that I approach Israel and every other country. If you critiqued on the basis of not considering the perspective of Israelis and your responses, but I've literally talked to Israelis on my stream and not the perspective of Israelis on an ethno-state run by and for them means nothing, then you're pleading people to liberal Zionism. It's nauseating and brainless that Yuval is even given a platform to spout free to hostage bullshit is a travesty. He's only there because of an accident of birth, because of a token Israeli stamp of approval is required on anything that Palestinians do. If not for that, he would have never been included. Instead of challenging this by questioning it, you reinforce his continuation by pointing to it as legitimizing and special. I think that, interestingly enough, we both recognize that Israel is a supremacist state. Okay? Israel is an ethno-religious supremacist state, and therefore Israelis, in the eyes of that ethno-supremacist Israeli state, specifically Israeli Jews, are definitely treated by this state as a higher priority. We both recognize that, and I say it's important that the emancipatory struggle is multifaceted, multi-pronged, and that it's important when Israelis put their bodies on the line as well, okay? Because ultimately, even if someone is... Look, the way I see it is this, okay? I can disagree with someone who constantly talking about how devastating October 7 was. Like Bernie Sanders is a great example of this. Like I disagree with Bernie Sanders in the way that he has approached the issue of Israel, right? But he has so much more work that he has done that I think was incredibly important, and I will always give him props for that, right? This argument is so silly. Yes, if there were German civilian resistors during World War II, that would be a good thing. In Israel, we also have a few people like Ofer Kasif, Yuval Abraham, Gideon Levy, who are resistance and is good. Exactly. Yeah. I don't think it's appropriate. I don't think it's appropriate to paint every Israeli with the same brush. But also, I take it one step further. Like I've said, there are 100% plenty of Israelis who think what is going on in the West Bank is unconscionable to a degree where they will literally go out and stand in front of the settlers. Okay. If you're doing that, I'm never going to shit on you. If you're doing that, then that's good. Okay. That's a good thing. I think, given my Turkish background, and also my American background as well, have an understanding of what it's like to constantly be cast aside by your own peers. Having said that, that is nothing in terms of the violence and ritualistic humiliation that Palestinians are subjected to by a rabid settler colonial genocidal apartheid state that is doing terror on a daily basis. You do not need to cede ground to bad faith actors, but you can understand that there are so many different approaches that people engage with. And in terms of the No Other Land, this is actually something I was going to talk about right now because it dovetails perfectly into the Israeli-Palestinian documentary No Other Land wins the Oscar. So let's start there, and then we'll get to Trump's tariffs, we'll get to the American economy, and we'll get to what Donald Trump is going to be saying later. There's a lot going on in the world, and we must cover it all, of course. You are covering the news from an American progressive perspective. He's more extreme in his views because he's covering the news from the perspective of a dude who's living in a third world country. He's in a transigent. Having said that, it ultimately, it is, at the end of the day, there are multiple perspectives in any conflict, in any involvement. For the MLKs of the world, there was always the Malcolm X's of the world, and the civil rights struggle would not have been successful without both of these parties. Nonviolent political resistance is incredibly important. When it comes to the apartheid state, it's the exact same thing. Whether it be South Africa or whether it be Israel, you are going to have internal pressure that plays a very significant role, okay? And those guys are not going to be like-minded, okay? They're not going to agree on everything because there's a metric ton of social conditioning that plays a role here. And I will continue advocating for the things that I believe in, even if those people consider me to be a terrorist, even if those people consider me to be lesser than them because of my background, okay? And plenty of them do. A lot of people shut me out of this conversation. So brave of you to paint yourself as MLK in this comparison. What led you to believe that I was doing that? Okay? I'm not putting myself in this equation at all. I'm simply saying that as someone who is an onlooker, okay, as someone who is looking from the outside, who is trying to actively educate people on these matters, I'm saying that I would be someone who says, look, the Black Panther militancy is valid and plays a formative role in the civil rights struggle, just like MLK's peaceful civil disobedience played a very formative role in the civil rights struggle. It's not one or the other. It's both, okay? That's how this works. At least throughout history, that is how it has always worked. Especially when, like, militancy is virtually, militancy and wars of attrition are unimaginably taxing on the civilian population, right? when you are going up against an opponent, okay, when you're going up against an opponent that is backed by the largest state on the planet, the largest military on the planet, it's going to take a lot more than simply militant struggle, militant emancipatory movements. It's just not going to work that way. That's just not how it goes. Sorry for spam. Would you be able to log into FOSSA quickly so we can get all the functionality back? Yeah, I'll do that right now. Hold on. Hold on. All right, let me log in. Okay, we're good. All right. There's a bunch of stuff that I get logged out of automatically. Has there always been a clip button on Twitch's user interface? I swear I haven't seen it before. I don't know. Please watch Trudeau's response to the tariffs. Yeah, we'll get there. All right. Your subs might have been canceled, by the way. So resubscribe because I was banned. When that happens, if your resub button was supposed to come out yesterday, then you weren't able to, and it just like auto cancels. I think that's how it works. We can't clip at the moment, presumably because of the ban. No, you can't clip if you're not subscribed. Subscribers obviously get a bunch of different things. You can clip stuff if you're a subscriber. You can send me links if you're a subscriber, things of that nature. All right. But let's get to No Other Land